She made it to the parking lot, but never made it inside. Nearly 30 years later, the evidence is still there, but the person responsible has never been identified. If you found this case important, share it because someone out there might still have the missing piece. Melissa Missy Witt was born on April 20, 1975 in Fort Smith, Arkansas. She grew up in a working-class household shaped by both stability and change. Her parents divorced in 1980 when she was 5 years old, after which she primarily lived with her mother, Mary Ann Witt, while continuing to spend time with her father during weekends and holidays. This arrangement became a defining part of her upbringing, providing her with consistent support from both parents despite the separation. From an early age, Missy was described as curious, friendly, and eager to learn. She attended local elementary school where she became involved in activities such as choir and art club. These early interests reflected both her social nature and her willingness to participate in group environments. As she progressed into junior high school, her interests began to expand, particularly towards subjects like human biology, which would later influence her career aspirations. During her time at Northside High School, Missy remained actively involved in school life. She participated in volleyball and student council, and she was elected as a junior class representative. These roles demonstrated her ability to balance academics with extracurricular involvement while maintaining strong relationships with her peers. Friends and classmates consistently described her as approachable, dependable, and kind-hearted. After graduating high school in 1993, Missy enrolled at Westart Community College in Fort Smith. There, she pursued studies in dental hygiene, working toward a clearly defined professional goal. Alongside her studies, she held a part-time position as a dental assistant at a local clinic. In this role, she was known for her professionalism, strong work ethic, and attention to detail. Her co-workers viewed her as responsible and dedicated, qualities that aligned with her long-term ambition of becoming a dental hygienist. Outside of school and work, Missy was also involved in volunteer efforts within her community. She contributed time to a children's emergency shelter and participated in local charity events, demonstrating a commitment to helping others. These activities reflected both her compassionate personality and her desire to remain engaged with the people around her. Socially, Missy maintained a close group of friends and had experienced a relationship during her high school years. She was described as outgoing and approachable, someone who formed meaningful connections with those around her. Her life at this stage was structured around education, work, and personal development. By late 1994, Missy Witt had established herself as a focused and motivated young woman. She balanced academic responsibilities with employment and community involvement, all while working steadily toward her future career. On December 1, 1994, Missy Witt began her day in Fort Smith, Arkansas, starting her morning routine at home with her mother, Mary Ann Witt, where the two had a disagreement over money needed for a car oil change. It was a typical day otherwise, as she attended classes at Westart Community College, spent time with a friend during lunch, and then continued to her part-time job at a local dental clinic where she worked as a dental assistant. After finishing work, Missy experienced car trouble when her vehicle failed to start, and she was assisted by a man from a nearby business who helped jumpstart her car and warned her not to stop until she reached home. She then returned home, where she found a note from her mother inviting her to meet at Bowling World for an evening visit. At approximately 6:30 p.m., Missy changed her clothes and left her home to drive to the bowling alley. She arrived between 6:30 and 7:00 p.m., and investigators believe she was abducted before she could enter the building. This conclusion is supported by evidence including blood found near her car, her keys, a gold hoop earring, and a crushed hair clip scattered in the parking lot. Witnesses reported seeing a possible argument in the parking lot and a young woman matching Missy's description walking toward the entrance of Bowling World. Despite these observations, Missy Witt never made it inside the bowling alley and was last seen in the parking lot that evening. It is believed that the abduction occurred in a very short window of time as Missy approached the entrance, leaving investigators with a narrow time frame to reconstruct the events of that evening. The sequence of events leading up to her disappearance includes her time at school, work responsibilities, the car trouble she experienced, and her decision to meet her mother at Bowling World after receiving the note. Throughout the day, she maintained her usual routine, moving between classes, work, and personal commitments before returning home in the evening. Her arrival at Bowling World marked the final known point in her timeline, as she never entered the building, and no further confirmed sightings of her were recorded after she reached the parking lot area. In the days following Missy Witt's disappearance on December 1, 1994, the initial investigation developed slowly as key evidence remained unnoticed. Her car remained in the Bowling World parking lot for approximately 2 days before it was formally identified and linked to her disappearance. Once authorities recognized the vehicle, the area was secured and officially treated as a crime scene. The car itself appeared to be in normal condition. It was locked, and there were no visible signs of forced entry or disturbance inside. Investigators examined the contents and found Missy's purse along with money and other personal belongings still inside the vehicle. Nothing appeared to have been taken, leading investigators to rule out robbery as a likely motive. Outside the vehicle, however, several items indicated that a struggle had taken place. A gold hoop earring, a crushed hair clip, and Missy's keys were recovered from the parking lot. Her keys had been picked up earlier by an unknown individual and turned into the bowling alley. When later examined, they were found to contain traces of blood. Investigators also identified blood evidence near the vehicle, suggesting a violent confrontation occurred in that area. Weather conditions played a significant role in complicating the investigation. Rain over the following days diluted the blood evidence and delayed a thorough forensic examination of the scene. This limited the amount of usable information that could be collected. Witness interviews provided some additional context. One account came from a child who reported hearing a woman scream and seeing figures near a vehicle with its lights on. Despite these statements, no clear suspect descriptions emerged. Search efforts were extensive, involving law enforcement, volunteers, helicopters, and tracking dogs. Teams searched nearby wooded areas and surrounding locations, but no immediate leads were found, leaving investigators with limited direction. On January 13, 1995, Missy Witt's body was discovered by 2 hunters in a remote area of the Ozark National Forest, approximately 45 to 50 miles from Fort Smith. The remains were in a state of decomposition, making immediate identification difficult, and confirmation of her identity was later achieved through dental records. At the scene, Missy's body was found nude, and her clothing, shoes, and personal belongings, including her Mickey Mouse watch, were missing. Investigators collected physical evidence from the area, including hair, bodily fluids, cigarette butts, and other trace materials found near the body. An autopsy determined that Missy had been strangled and likely died shortly after her abduction, consistent with the timeline established by investigators. The remote and isolated nature of the location suggested that the perpetrator may have been familiar with the surrounding area and intentionally selected a site far from public access. The absence of her clothing and personal belongings limited investigative progress, as potential forensic evidence was never recovered from those missing items. Despite the recovery of her body, the available evidence did not provide clear answers regarding the identity of the individual responsible for her death. Although the scene provided multiple physical samples, none of the recovered materials immediately produced a definitive lead in the investigation. Weeks after her disappearance, the discovery confirmed that Missy's case had ended in homicide, but it also reinforced the lack of clear forensic answers available to investigators at the time. Overall, the recovery of Missy Witt's remains in the Ozark National Forest marked a critical development in the case, confirming her death and shifting the investigation toward understanding how and why she was taken to such a remote location. Despite extensive evidence collection, investigators were left without definitive answers, and the absence of personal belongings continued to hinder efforts to determine the exact circumstances surrounding her final movements and death. At that stage of inquiry in the case, following the disappearance of Missy Witt in Fort Smith, Arkansas, investigators explored multiple persons of interest and competing theories regarding her abduction and murder. One early theory suggested a random attack, supported by witness reports of an argument in the Bowling World parking lot around the time she arrived. This interpretation remained under consideration due to the limited and unclear description of the male individuals seen during the incident. Among those reviewed was Larry Swearingen, who had been convicted of a similar murder involving a 19-year-old woman found in a forest setting. Despite similarities and his presence in the region, investigators found no evidence directly connecting him to Missy Witt's case. Another person of interest was Charles Ray Vines, known as the River Valley Killer, whose crimes involved strangulation in the same geographic area. His method and regional proximity led investigators to consider him, though no conclusive link was established in this case. Investigators also examined other individuals, including a classmate whose behavior was described as unusual after the disappearance, and who asked whether a body had been found. Travis Crouch was later considered as a person of interest due to his presence in the area and history of violent behavior. A witness account also described Missy being heard arguing with someone referred to as Daniel, although that individual was reportedly cleared. Another unresolved element was the presence of female DNA found under Missy's fingernails, which has not been fully analyzed. The possibility of connections to other regional cases, including the disappearance of Morgan Nick, was also explored by investigators. Overall, investigators continue to evaluate these individuals and theories while attempting to reconstruct the timeline and circumstances surrounding Missy Witt's disappearance and murder. They reviewed multiple suspects, including regional offenders, acquaintances, and individuals whose behavior or presence near the time of the incident raised investigative attention. Although several persons of interest were examined over time, no conclusive evidence was found linking any individual to the crime, leaving the case unresolved. The investigation also considered possible connections to other regional cases, but no verified link was established despite similarities that were noted by authorities. This ongoing uncertainty kept focus on witness statements, forensic evidence, and behavioral patterns that investigators continued to analyze as part of the broader effort to understand what happened in Fort Smith in 1994, while the case remained unsolved and under active review by investigators at that time. Officially, Melissa Witt's murder remains unsolved, and no individual has been convicted in connection with her abduction and death. Over the years, investigators have revisited the case in an effort to identify new leads and reassess existing evidence. The case was reopened, and previously collected materials were reanalyzed using modern forensic techniques. Despite advancements in technology, including updated DNA testing methods, no definitive matches have been identified, leaving investigators without a clear suspect. Public attention has played a significant role in keeping the case active. Media coverage, including documentaries and true crime programming, has brought renewed awareness to Missy's story. A documentary series has been developed to examine the details of the case, featuring information about the investigation and its unresolved elements. Community advocacy efforts have also contributed to maintaining public interest, encouraging individuals to come forward with any information. Reward offers have been established to support the investigation. A $5,000 reward has been offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person responsible. In addition, a $29,000 reward was announced in recognition of the anniversary of Missy's disappearance. This reward specifically seeks information related to her missing Mickey Mouse watch and assistance in identifying key witnesses who were present at Bowling World on the night she disappeared. Investigators continue to seek information about two individuals or groups who may have witnessed relevant events. One is a man described as standing outside the bowling alley, while the other is a couple accompanied by a young child who were seen walking through the parking lot. Efforts to generate new leads have included billboard campaigns designed to raise awareness and reach a broader audience. Despite these continued efforts, the case remains open, and authorities continue to seek information that may lead to identification and conviction of the person responsible. On the evening of December 1, 1994, witness accounts from the Bowling World parking lot became an important part of the investigation into Missy Witt's disappearance. Several individuals were reported to have been present in the area at the time she arrived, yet some of these witnesses have never been identified. Investigators have continued to emphasize the importance of locating these individuals, as they may have seen or heard critical moments related to the abduction. One individual described by witnesses was a man seen standing outside Bowling World on the sidewalk. He was reported to be short in height, with a mustache and glasses, and was wearing a blue shirt, jeans, brown boots, and a white or light-colored baseball cap. According to reports, he was smoking outside the building and was positioned in a way that may have allowed him to observe activity in the parking lot. Authorities have stated that this man may have heard or seen a loud disturbance that occurred during the time Missy was believed to have been abducted. Another group identified as potential witnesses included a couple accompanied by a young child estimated to be between 8 and 10 years old. They were reportedly seen walking across the parking lot and entering the bowling alley around the same time Missy arrived. The woman was described as short, with blonde, fluffy hair, wearing a light-colored striped sweater. The man accompanying her was described as taller. Additionally, a child reported hearing a woman scream and seeing figures near a vehicle with its lights on. These accounts contribute to the effort to reconstruct events that took place in the parking lot. Despite the passage of time, identifying these individuals remains a priority, as their observations may provide key details about what occurred that night. Physical evidence collected in the investigation of Missy Witt's disappearance and murder played a central role in shaping the direction of the case while also presenting significant challenges. At the Bowling World parking lot, investigators recovered several key items near her vehicle, including a gold hoop earring, a crushed hair clip, and her car keys. These items were found scattered outside the car, indicating a struggle had taken place. Her keys had been picked up earlier by an unknown individual and turned into the bowling alley. When later examined, the keys were found to contain traces of blood, reinforcing the belief that a violent encounter occurred in that area. Additional blood evidence was located near the vehicle, but weather conditions complicated the investigation. Rain in the days following her disappearance diluted the blood and interfered with the preservation of the scene. This delay prevented immediate and thorough forensic analysis, limiting the amount of usable information that could be recovered. At the location where Missy's body was later discovered, investigators collected further evidence, including hair, soil, bodily fluids, cigarette butts, and other materials found nearby. Despite these findings, the evidence did not produce clear leads that could identify a suspect. One notable element in the case was the presence of DNA under Missy's fingernails. This DNA was identified as female, but it has not been fully developed into a complete profile. As a result, its potential value in identifying a suspect has remained limited. The absence of Missy's clothing and personal belongings, including items she was known to have been wearing, further restricted forensic opportunities. These missing items may have contained additional evidence that was never recovered, contributing to the ongoing difficulty in resolving the case. On December 1, 1994, Missy Witt began her day at home in Fort Smith, Arkansas, where she had a disagreement with her mother regarding money for a car oil change before leaving to attend classes at West Ark Community College. After completing her classes, she met a friend for lunch and was later dropped off at her workplace, where she continued her shift as a dental assistant. Following work, Missy encountered car trouble when her vehicle failed to start, prompting assistance from a man at a nearby business who helped jumpstart the car and advised her not to stop until she reached home. Missy then returned to her residence where she found a note from her mother inviting her to meet at Bowling World later that evening. After changing out of her work clothes, she left home at approximately 6:30 p.m. and drove to the bowling alley. She arrived shortly afterward, between approximately 6:30 and 7:10 p.m., and was seen in the parking lot. Witnesses reported seeing a young woman matching Missy's description walking toward the entrance, while other accounts describe an argument and sounds consistent with a disturbance in the same area. Physical evidence found at the scene, including blood, her keys, a gold hoop earring, and a crushed hair clip, indicated that a struggle had taken place. Missy never entered the building and was last seen in the parking lot during that time frame. Her car remained in the lot and was identified 2 days later, leading to the start of a formal investigation. On January 13, 1995, her body was discovered in the Ozark National Forest, concluding the known sequence of events. On December 1, 1994, Missy Witt began her day at home in Fort Smith, Arkansas, where she had a disagreement with her mother about money for a car oil change before leaving to attend classes at West Ark Community College. After completing her classes, she met a friend for lunch and was later dropped off at her workplace, where she continued her shift as a dental assistant. After finishing work, Missy experienced car trouble when her vehicle would not start, and she received help from a man at a nearby business who jump-started the car and warned her not to stop until she reached home safely. Missy returned home and found a note from her mother inviting her to meet at Bowling World later that evening. She changed out of her work clothes and left her house at approximately 6:30 p.m., driving to the bowling alley. She arrived between approximately 6:30 and 7:10 p.m., where witnesses reported seeing a young woman matching her description, walking across the parking lot toward the entrance. During this same time period, other witnesses reported hearing an argument and sounds consistent with a disturbance near a vehicle. Physical evidence later found at the scene, including blood, her keys, a gold hoop earring, and a crushed hair clip, indicated that a struggle had occurred in the parking lot. Missy never entered the building and was last seen in the parking lot during that time frame. Her car remained in the lot and was identified 2 days later, prompting a formal investigation. On January 13, 1995, her body was discovered in the Ozark National Forest, completing the known sequence of events. Following Missy Witt's disappearance on December 1, 1994, her family and friends quickly recognized that her absence was unusual and concerning. She was known as a responsible and reliable individual, making it unlikely that she would leave without informing anyone. After realizing she had not returned home and could not be reached, her disappearance was reported to authorities. In the days that followed, her family and friends began distributing missing person flyers throughout Fort Smith in an effort to gather information and locate her. Law enforcement initiated search operations that involved multiple coordinated efforts. Officers organized ground searches in areas surrounding the Bowling World parking lot where Missy was last seen. These searches extended into nearby wooded regions, rivers, and other locations where evidence might be found. Helicopters were deployed to survey larger areas from above, while tracking dogs were used in attempts to follow any possible scent trails connected to her last known location. Members of the local community joined these efforts, volunteering their time to assist in searching and distributing information. The involvement of volunteers allowed for broader coverage of the surrounding areas, reflecting the level of concern shared by residents. Despite these extensive and coordinated search efforts, no immediate evidence of Missy's whereabouts was discovered during the initial period following her disappearance. Investigators and volunteers continued their work over several weeks, maintaining search operations while pursuing any available leads. The lack of early results added to the concern within the community and among investigators. When Missy's body was eventually discovered weeks later, it confirmed the severity of the situation and marked a turning point in the case, deeply affecting both law enforcement and the community involved in the search efforts. Media coverage has played a significant role in maintaining public awareness of Missy Witt's case over the years, ensuring that her disappearance and murder remain part of ongoing discussions. Documentaries and true crime programming have revisited the case, presenting the known facts, investigative challenges, and unanswered questions. A multi-part docuseries has been developed to explore the details of the investigation, highlighting both the evidence collected and the difficulties faced by law enforcement in identifying a suspect. In addition to formal media productions, individuals have contributed to keeping the case visible through written works and continued advocacy. Authors and independent researchers have examined the available information, sharing details with the public and encouraging renewed interest. Some of these efforts have included the creation of independent tip lines, where information can be submitted and reviewed before being passed on to law enforcement. These channels have been presented as additional ways to gather potential leads, while maintaining communication with investigators. Public awareness campaigns have also been implemented as part of ongoing efforts to generate new information. Billboard initiatives have been launched to display Missy's case details in visible locations, aiming to reach individuals who may have knowledge of relevant events, but have not yet come forward. These campaigns serve as reminders that the case remains unsolved and that information is still being sought. Despite the passage of time, continued media attention and advocacy efforts have helped sustain interest in the investigation. These efforts are intended to encourage the submission of new tips, support the re-examination of existing evidence, and contribute to the possibility of future developments. The ongoing visibility of Missy Witt's case reflects a continued commitment to seeking answers and pursuing resolution through public engagement and investigative persistence.